And they do it all the time.
So you're okay with the burning of the Israeli flag? It doesn't matter who does
Look,
it, it's a pretty clear signal, isn't it?
Look, don't misrepresent me. I didn't say I'm okay with it or I'm not. I'm saying that it's a law of land. People can do it, and those who did it were Orthodox rabbis. You can't accuse them of being racist and anti-Semite.
A justice minister has told Times Radio that a march linked to the Iranian regime planned for this weekend should not go ahead. In previous years, the al-Quds march has seen the flags of terrorist groups like Hezbollah and placards calling for Israel's destruction displayed. Well, Sarah Sackman spoke to Kate McCann and Stig Abel on Times Radio Breakfast this morning.
Well, I'm clear that hate on marches like the al-Quds March has no place in British society, and particularly in the current context where we are seeing the indiscriminate actions of a malign regime of the IRGC, both causing danger abroad and at home.
That was Sarah Sackman on with Kate and Stig, who, by the way, don't forget, are back with Times Radio Breakfast from 6 a.m. tomorrow. Well, let's talk to Massoud Shadjareh, an organiser of the Al-Quds March and chair of the Islamic Human Rights Commission. Good afternoon, Massoud.
Good afternoon, Trevor.
How do you respond to what Sarah Sackman had to say?
Well, there has never been any evidence, and indeed the reality is we have never supported any acts of terrorism or terrorist group, and also never asked for destruction of any state. We have actually asked for end to the ideology of Zionism, an end to occupation, end to apartheid, and end to genocide. And we will continue to do so that. That is our right. And indeed, many of us believe that is our duty at a time when we are seeing what is being unleashed to stand up and articulate that under the basis of freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and so forth, which are hardcore British values.
Well, it hasn't been quite as straightforward as that, has it? When we talk about hardcore values, in previous marches of this particular celebration or anniversary, I beg your pardon, there have been arrests, there have been clashes with police, burning of an Israeli flag, and before the proscription of Hezbollah, people were waving Hezbollah flags. I mean, whatever you would like the march to be, without question, there are people on this march who don't conform to the kinds of sort of peaceful and straightforward campaigning that you've just been describing.
Well, look, let's be very clear. We have allowed any sort of flag standing for liberation of Palestine to be used. Before prescription of Hezbollah and other groups, they were allowed to use. We allowed individuals to bring those flags. But then also police allowed this to be used. So if you're saying that IHRC have been wrong by allowing this, then and therefore we're supporting terrorism, then you should also say that the Metropolitan Police have been wrong and supporting terrorism by allowing it. Look, that was the law of land at the time, and we all adhere to that. And you can't come right now and then say, why did you allow this when Metropolitan Police allowed it? Well, and as regards the arrest, the arrest that, let us be very clear, the arrest that you're talking about is an Orthodox rabbi burning an Israeli flag. This group of Orthodox rabbis, they burn Israeli flags in London, all over. They do it in Stamford Hill annually, and the police stands and protects them. Don't misrepresent what has happened. If you're saying that those rabbis were racist and anti-Semite, then be it. That's what your opinion. The fact is that it was burned by Orthodox rabbis, and they do it all the time.
So you're okay with the burning of the Israeli flag? It doesn't matter who does it, but it's a pretty clear signal, isn't it?
Look, don't misrepresent me. I didn't say I'm okay with it or I'm not. I'm saying that it's a law of land. People can do it. And those who did it were Orthodox rabbis. You can't accuse them of being racist and anti-Semite.
Well, we can accuse them of all sorts of things if we want to, but okay. Well, look,
I'm sure you're very good at that.
Just as a practical thing, Massoud, would you like to say to that group now on Times Radio, look, guys, if you're going to come and burn the Israeli flag, don't come, because we don't want that kind of thing on our demonstration?
Okay, I tell everybody that you could come to this demonstration, you could do anything which is legal and acceptable. And, this is what we stand for. We are not going to be putting pressure beyond what the legal limitation is. And that's what we have stood for, and that's what we stand in future.
You, we understand, have been promoting the demonstration. And there's a picture of you shouting, "We are all Iranian," in front of a placard of the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in this poster promoting the event, according to the Times' own reports.
Well,
is that the spirit of the march? This is a march which, in a way, supports the Ayatollah that essentially murdered 20,000 Iranian protesters in the last 2 or 3 months?
Trevor, first of all, you need to get your facts right. You at least should have watched that clip where I said outside the Israeli embassy that we are all Palestinian, we are all Lebanese, we are all Syrian, we are all Iranian. And in the same way that in 60s, I used to stand down and say we are all Hushimin. This is not about, supporting one particular group. This is standing against what we consider to be unjust. And as regards us holding that placard on it says, stand on the right side of history.
Yeah, but it's got a massive picture of Ali Khamenei.
Let me explain. You're
not answering the question I asked you. It has a picture of Ali Khamenei. Is this in support of Khamenei or not?
I'm telling you, I stood there and I explained, and if you listen to it, you would understand that I'm explaining that we need to all stand on the right of history, because humanity is at a crossroad. Either you support genocide and normalization of genocide, or you stand against it. And I believe people are being invited.
The leader who ordered
to stand on the right side of history.
The leader who sanctions the murder of 20,000 of his own people for protesting against his rule is on the right side of history. You're there, you're in the picture, you're saying we're all Iranians.
I know you're not a math expert, but you should at least be able to think clearly. In 3 days, you're claiming that 20,000 people were killed and murdered.
No, I didn't say in 3 days.
Genocide. No, that's what you're saying. But while in the genocide of Gaza, it took over 2 years, bombing, using tanks, using aircraft to kill 80,000
well,
people. This is ridiculous.
I'll try one more
time. This is ridiculous.
I'll try one more time. Is it okay for you to say we are all Iranians in front of a placard with the picture of Ali Khamenei, who over the last 2 months,
I didn't say
by almost
that. I
every
said a different
reckoning,
thing.
has sanctioned the murder of protesters in Iran?
Look, I did not say that. Look at the clip.
You just told me you said we are all Iranians.
When I held the placard,
you've just said it yourself.
No. When I hold the placard, I said stand on the right side of history. But elsewhere,
and Ali Khamenei is on the right side of history.
Elsewhere, I have said we are all Palestinian, we are all Lebanese, we are all Syrian, we are all Iranian, as I did in 60s, saying we are all Hushimin. Now, if you don't understand that, then I cannot explain it any further.
Okay, now, what has the police told you about the march that's going to take place? Is it still does it still have permission? Look,
this march has been peaceful, and even in court, the judge of in the case of Osborne, which actually was only act of terrorism in that march, that he was actually coming to drive his van into the people, and when he couldn't, he went and attacked and killed someone in Finsbury Park Mosque. Now, the reality is that all this hyping, all these lies, all this the misinformation is actually encouraging some crazy person to take the sort of action that Osborne took. And you and your media and everybody else is indeed responsible. This march has been always identified as
we're responsible for a man driving into a demonstration.
Yeah, because you actually, by saying that these people are terrorists, they're promoting terrorism. When police saying that's not the case, when the judge in Osborne case actually said that you were going to attack a peaceful demonstration, and that's how I understood by the judge, that's how it's understood by the police.
Can I just ask you one last thing, just to be absolutely clear? I mean, you know, we're not here to have an opinion, but I will share my opinion with you, which is that a march should go ahead unless there's some clear proof that there's going to be some malign intent and some violence. But would you acknowledge that a march of this kind, which has been objected to by many people, in an equivalent situation in Tehran,